Morning, afternoon, friends. It's Doc. We're starting a new series today. This one is called Feeding the Pharmacy, or Feed the Pharmacy, whichever I decide. I'll probably say both names throughout the thing. So what we're going to do is, this is kind of just a way I'm just going to kind of ramble on about my philosophies, why I do what I do, why we're homesteading, why we're here on the farm, why I run a nonprofit, why I am me, and fun things about that. Today is a pretty exciting day. Today we got some fruit trees in, and so we're actually going to be planting some fruit trees. And while we're planting fruit trees, we'll be talking a little philosophy and such. So this is kind of a more of a woo-woo type philosophy mixed in with some getting your hands dirty and all that good stuff. So this is going to ultimately replace Let's Feed the Chickens, just because I'm trying to gear Mark Boggs. I'm trying to gear more of my what we're gonna do to more precise type things. So that's what we're doing today. I'm gonna give everybody a few minutes. Oh yeah, I did this. Try to make it cool. So look at that. Look at that coolness. So this is episode 1. And today, what is today? Today is June 1st. June 1st, beautiful day, beginning of hurricane season, also the beginning of first season here on the farm. So for those that might be wondering what I mean by first season, so every year I keep track of the weather, and starting June 1st is what I call a new year here on the farm. So it's the beginning of the first season. So first season for us is late spring, early summer. So that's how I keep track of the weather. If anybody's ever interested, I have 16 years worth of data that I've been collecting. And then I also have 100 years of data that's been collected on top of the mountain over by me. So let me get this off the tripod for a minute. I'm going to show you guys what we're going to be working on today. Show you what we're going to be doing. And then we'll talk about some interesting stuff. So I'm going to walk over here. I'm going to spin the camera around so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. So you guys can see kind of the mess I have in place. Right there, the loops, those are the market garden. This area that's mowed there, that is where the corn, we're gonna plant some corn. I'm actually gonna get the rototiller in the next day or so, and I'm gonna actually rototiller up that. While I don't normally like to disturb the ground and that kind of stuff, things like corn, grasses, such like that, they actually do better when you rototill the ground and such like that. So since I'm going to do corn there, I'll probably also do peas and squash of some sorts there. But since I'm going to be doing that there, I thought I might as well just rototiller it, start it up, and then we'll be doing the rooster out and those other garden things there. But you guys can see the little path that we have mowed right through here. So what I'm going to do is on both sides of this, we are going to plant fruit trees. So this is roughly 40 feet. So we are going to do rows of fruit trees 40 feet in. I might have a few extra trees other than that, and then we'll do some exciting talking about where we're going to put those trees. We're going to talk excitedly, that's what that means. Because I have no idea where I'm going to put those just yet. Maybe you guys will help me figure out. So anyways, we're going to have that. And then right here, where the entrance is going to be to the garden, we're going to go right here and right here. We're going to put a grape arbor. And so there'll be a grape arbor here. So over the course of the years, you'll walk through this grape arbor. And the idea is to kind of give it like a nice transition into other zones. As you guys can see, I've already started prepping such. Already got some potatoes. Got some potatoes and such growing in this. Need to do a little bit of weeding. I need to definitely do some weeding in here, but I got just put some potatoes and some spuds and such ready in there. And then I might even, once I get a suitable place set up, I might even bring some bees up here. So this is the water catch rain. That's water hibiscus or water hyacinth. I put those in there to help keep the mosquito population and such down. So here's where we're going to go. We'll do one more little quick walk through here so you guys can see what's going to be the area we're going to be planting. And then I'll talk you guys through what I'm doing, and we'll talk about a few other things. Oh, sorry guys. The sound was supposed to be turned off, so you guys are all deaf now. I do need to what Lisa wanted real fast, since she went into town. Okay. Well, the sound should be off now, so we won't have any more deafening, crazy shaking phones, anything of that sort. So I'm going to move the tripod. More to this angle. Put this here on the tripod. Spin this around. I need to fix the tripod here. Okay. Well, that's not going to stay. Yeah, looks good, looks good. So then this around. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to go grab some trees. I'm going to go grab a few trees. And I'll show you guys the trees, and then I'll show you guys what we're going to be working over here and do. So there's about 15 trees in here. You guys can see the roots and such. So I'm going to set these guys on the ground over here. So we got ourselves, there's the root. We got ourselves a nice tree. This guy is definitely ready to be planted. He's got some buds already popping out. It is this, normally this is late in the season for me to be planting trees. I usually try to get these trees in by May. But being that there was a really good deal, a lot of you guys saw the deal that I showed you guys on the internets last week, I ordered a bunch of trees. So, very excited. Bring all my tools closer so we can work on everything nice and close and I don't have to keep walking back. I'm going to cover these trees back up and stick them a little bit in the shade. Clippers, just kidding, anything big. And then we got the shovels and everything like that. So let's get let's get it zoomed in more to the ground level. I'll show you guys exactly how I do these. So one of the things, guys, is I know a lot of you, this last year has just been crazy tough, crazy ridiculous. So I've been reading articles online, been talking to friends about a variety of different things. Some of them are not looking forward to going back in and living in society again. And I'm just gonna give you guys my experience of getting outside of what I call the broken society. And I've done that, for the last 16 years. And why I think it's, what you're feeling, some of you, what you're feeling, and how to get over that. The kind of trees we are planting today is most of all these are Bartlett pears. So I got these on a really good deal. So always excited to plant future fruit trees in the future, or planting fruit trees in the future. Future me will look back on current me and think I am awesome for thinking ahead and planting all of these fruit trees for me. So it'll probably be about 2 years before I start getting any type of pears off of these trees. But in about 10 years from now, I will be absolutely covered up with pears and be able to share lots of pears with other people. And this will be the future home of a nice little fruit forest up here on the mountain. That's kind of at least the goal. So back to the philosophizing about the stressfulness of going back and being back in society. So I'm gonna zoom this down, trying to get you guys the best view so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing and how I do it. Now you guys don't have to do it like this, but since I'm gonna be out in the bush and I'm gonna be out doing things, I also like to add some meditation to doing this, or just I like to do this in the most relaxing way. I try not to treat any of my farm chores as quote unquote hard work or work. I try to find the way to balance them with other things. So being that a goal I had 16 years ago was to never feel like I'm going to work again. So I haven't quite accomplished that, but it's very close. Like, rarely do I ever feel like anything I do is work. I feel like everything I do is life, is living, is just stuff that needs to be done and such I want to do, and such that is in a direction that just makes me feel like I'm becoming a better person and the world around me is also being better. So I know that's really woo-woo to a lot of people, and I know that sounds really bizarre, but something I had decided in my 20s, that instead of working for the man, which in my 20s would have been working for the rubber companies, or joining the military, or I was a steel worker, and I could have been a computer programmer. I could have got into computers and that kind of stuff. I didn't really know. I mean, I still, will be honest, I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up, but I knew what I didn't want to do, and I knew the directions I didn't want to go. And I've been working jobs, like working inside corporate America and inside the job since I was 16. And I've also owned businesses on top of that since I was 16 as well. But I've worked in corporate world and had businesses. Did them both. Really enjoyed being an entrepreneur. Really enjoyed having my own businesses. Did a lot of volunteering as well, and tried to figure out a way to balance all of this off. So I decided that I'm going to figure out a way to do quote unquote work in something that I want to do all day, something that I enjoy doing, something that I feel like I am contributing to self and contributing to the world. So that's why I do this. Now, why am I on my knees sitting in grass with clippers? when I could just go get a weed whacker. I could just lawnmower over this. I could just do a lot of this kind of stuff. There's something about getting and reconnecting with the soil on a very basic level, on a way our ancestors used to do things. Like, no, of course, you know, the stuff that's on the other side, I mowed that with a lawnmower. I do a lot of times, you know, I'll do a combination of making sure I use all the important equipment. But when I'm really just wanting to focus and just give myself time to reconnect, this is a way that I really enjoy reconnecting. So I get a handful of tools that will do the job, and then I just get in here and enjoy what we're doing. And so really what we're going to be doing is I'm going to try to figure out, I need to be far enough off of this path, but I can always move this path a little bit left and right. The path's not set in stone. It's just a grass path. So I'm going to figure out roughly where I want to put the trees, knowing that they've got an 18-foot canopy layover when they're mature. And so what I really want is I'm going to have trees on both sides. I want the canopy to cross over. I want to be able to easily get in here and harvest pears, but I also want it to look really cool. So, and I also want the soil to tell me where it really wants the trees. Because you can actually, it sounds silly, but you can get in there and the soil does a really good job of telling you where you want to put stuff. So yeah, everything that I'm planning today is going to be pears, but in the future, I will be integrating other fruit. These 2 rows that I'm going to do, I've got 40 feet on both sides. So I'll probably do 4 groups of pears on both sides. So this will be the inner wall. The outer wall will be other types of fruit trees, and then I'll be capping off this path with grapevines. So right now, but I'm also trying to figure out where the mountain wants me to put these pears. So that's what we're going to be working on now, is figuring out where I should put these pears. So see this nice growth right here? We've got a nice bit of diversity. We've got this, we've got some dandelions coming up here. We've got some swamp buttercup, and we have some few other things. So right here is telling me that this is going to be a really good spot. So well, Mark, trees individually can handle worms. It's the forest that is the problem with the worms, is the worms just don't get along with forest. So these are so maybe over time I'll need to be careful that these aren't wimpy trees, because I'm going to turn this into a fruit forest. But at the particular moment, the worm load should be fine. I shouldn't have to worry so much about that. For those that are new, me and Mark have lots of conversations about worms. Because actually they found that worms can be harmful for mature forests over time, especially in North America. So because there's a lot of diversity already growing right here, that's telling me that the soil is able to provide lots of different things. It means that all of these plants are pulling something different from the soil. So I'm going to say about right here's a really good spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to try to cut a whole bunch of stuff around, just kind of big enough so I can get this tree in. So we're going to be practicing chop and dropping too. So chopping, dropping is just cutting the stuff in and just letting it sit here. So you guys can see, it's mostly just, you can mostly just see, it's not a whole lot of work. Just getting most of the big stuff in, most of the roots. There's some thicker grass down here that's thatching, so try to get that out of the place. So, and then I'll show you guys, we'll zoom in so you guys can see exactly what's going on. So So right here is the area you can see where I just chopped and dropped. Not very big. Probably, I don't know, 2 foot by 2 foot. 2 foot by 2 foot area. Right there, we're going to come in about right there. That's where we're going to dig the hole. That's where we're going to put the first tree. But you guys just helped me remind myself that I forgot the peat moss. So, at least until peat moss gets outlawed, I'm going to keep using it. You can also, if you're someone who doesn't really want to use peat moss, you actually can use coconut coir. But I have peat moss, so we're going to use peat moss. So I'm going to go grab my container of peat moss. So what peat moss does is it adds a lot of this. It adds just good nutrition. It also helps. It helps with water retention, but it also doesn't make it so the water is too much water is sitting in there. So that's why peat moss is good. And out of all the things I brought up there, tried to remember everything to make sure I had everything so I didn't have to walk back to the farm. Peat moss was the one thing that I forgot to grab. So we're going to grab some peat moss. And then head back up that way. So, maybe you're getting a little anxiety about going back and being part of the real world. It's understandable. I left the real world. The real world's the wrong term. The current society that we live in. So I left the current society about 16 years ago. Actually 16 years ago, like in May, end of May. May 25th. And I did that because I was living in the city. I was working in the city, living in the suburbs. And I was just getting tired. Getting tired of all of it. It was just the city. I grew up in Akron, Ohio. The city just felt like it was dying, which it was. My friends were going nowhere. Not by any fault of their own, that's just kind of what happens. And I was feeling stagnant, and I was also just getting tired of how silly everything was. This was 2005. This was even before things are as silly as they were the last couple years. So I was just longing for a better world. Longing for something I didn't know what it was yet, but I'd lived in the inner city. I'd lived in the country, like outskirts of the country. I lived in the suburbs, and I don't know. I wanted something different. So now, while I always never really imagined myself moving to Appalachia, my relatives, my kinfolk, my grandparents were from Appalachia. They were farmers and farmers and lumberjacks, and just people that lived in the mountains, mountain folk. And I didn't realize, I was one generation away from that, but I didn't realize how much this was really in my blood, and how much this was something that I just felt like I needed to do. Also, being able to combine this with teaching, something I've always wanted to do. Always wanted to be a teacher. Always wanted to educate. Just love the idea of sharing knowledge with people. And so I just started working on a plan and figured out a way out. I had no idea how I was going to do out. So some people's like, you just got lucky, and nah, it wasn't luck. It took me years, a couple years. I first started planning that I needed to get out of the city and out of the suburbs and out of all that when I was 23. And I just didn't know how I was going to do it. I was still going to college at the time. Didn't really know what direction I was going to go, but just knew I wanted out of the broken system of society that we were in. And so I spent, quite a few years planning and scheming, figuring out how to get out, how to just escape broken society. It's totally possible, but it takes work. It takes time. Everybody's situation is going to be a little different. Be more than happy to be more than happy to sit and talk with folks if you need help figuring out how to get out of your system, out of your broken system, because it is possible. It's just work. Like, and that's why I was just talking just a minute ago about how I don't like work. It was a lot of stuff I didn't want to do to figure out how to get away from everything. Like, a lot of I was, I knew what I was giving up. And I was giving up, my social life. I was giving up everything that I knew. And I was giving up stuff that I enjoyed. I enjoyed being cutting edge of technology, and I absolutely enjoyed always having crazy fun things to do, and having a big diversity of eating different types of foods, and being able to easily make money. Because in the city, I will say, it is really easy to make money. And so where a lot of you guys in the last year, have gone through, the silly event that's been going on, and trying to figure out how, readdressing one of the important things of you want in your life. You've just had, like, I guess a good way to put it to a lot of people, this last year has just been like an awesome snow day, an adult snow day that we've had for an entire year. And I think it's a good thing to look at it and to think of all the stuff that happened, and how, things aren't going to get better immediately. They're ultimately going to get better. Don't listen to all the doom and gloomers. Don't listen to all the naysayers. Things will get better. Things are actually pretty awesome right now. But, there are going to be hardships. And that's okay. You just accept those hardships, you plan for them. And the hardships might affect you more than they're going to affect other people. And there's still going to be more bad people doing bad things, because bad people are always going to do bad things. But the bad people win, and the bad people are able to do most of the bad things when you focus on them. Being aware of them is important. I'm not telling you to go Pollyanna, close your eyes, pretend that the outside world doesn't exist. But look, see this, guys? Just want you to sit and look at this for a second. I don't have to worry about a handful of things, because I don't have to worry about Black Lives Matter. I don't got to worry about Antifa. I don't got to worry about this hate field being hacked. I don't got to worry about, honestly, I don't even actually really have to worry about who's the leader of the free world. What I have to worry about is keeping myself fed, keeping my animals fed, and then paying the hush tax, which is called property tax in the United States, to make sure that, people stop bothering me. And I can't change some of that stuff. But I know what to pay attention to, and I know what to look for. Am I rich? Monetary wise, no, not at all. Like, I always have to, we penny pinch, and we have to pay real close attention to how we spend our money. But am I wealthy? Yes. Look at this. I mean, look what I get to do. I get to talk to you guys as I dig a hole on a Tuesday. I'm sitting here talking to awesome people on the internet, digging a hole on a beautiful day in the mountains without really a care in the world. Why? Because basic planning and understanding what my personal priorities are. Something I've told a lot of people, and I mention this probably more often, probably annoys some people, but all money really does is lubricate life. It just makes life a little bit easier. It needs to be lubricated. We want life as simple and as easy and as enjoyable as possible. But that's really all it does. It's the experience of doing something, which is what makes life fulfilling and enjoyable. You know, if prior to the event, if prior to the snow day, the great snow day, that you were just not happy with life, then that last year and a half has really helped you figure out where you should be going with your life. You know, think of your dreams. Think of what you enjoyed doing while you were on your snow day. Some of you might have made some food. Some of you might have still been going back to work, but work might have been either more stressful because you were in a particular field where a lot of people were panicking, or life was not as stressful. Maybe you owned a business and you realized that, you know, because of things that the government says, your business is to whims of the business. We were given an absolute gift over this last year and a half. We were given a gift to see if we allow the government so much overreach, if we don't restrict their power a little bit. We have a snapshot. We just experienced the downfall of what the future could look like. We just got to experience, well, it actually can probably be based on your experience. We just got to experience utopia or ditopia, depending on which direction you want to go. You know, some of you may love having so much of that free time to yourself. I mean, it gave me a lot more opportunities. Stuff I used to not be able to get shipped to my house, being so far out in the country. It forced particular companies to be able to get out there and to ship now to me. My little sister did a career change during the whole thing, and she's very happy with her career change. You know, and her career change gives her more time to do things that she enjoys doing. Had some roots there. Because I knew there was going to be more people with screens and such, I got to spend more time and refocus on how I was going to do my education on the internet. Because that's one thing that I've always wanted to be able to do. Not everyone was able to come out to the farm. And so what the snow day did is allowed me to use the tools and to utilize the tools and to find the tools that I knew existed out there to be able to get out there and get more people and show more people and do more good. Also got me to reconnect with stuff I hadn't been doing for a while. I've been slacking on my meditation, and because all of the extra stress that you could just feel in the world, I gave myself more time to meditate. So I did some experiments that I haven't fully talked about to everyone on the internet yet, but I did some experiments over this last year and a half when it comes to health, to try to see if I play some games with my health, to see what I think about that. And I'm very close to being able to talk about that. So there's lots of great things that this the event, the snow day, did. It also made a lot of us aware of what important aspects we have in life. So let me show you guys. We'll go down here so you guys can see the hole. So there's the hole I just dug. Not very deep because the root system isn't very deep. So you guys can see down there bottom, I made sure that I dug deep enough. I fluffed up some of the dirt so that there's plenty of roots, so that the roots, when they first start establishing, they don't have to bust through this like clay, because you guys can see how hard the sides are here on the mountain. We got lots of clay and such like that. So what we're going to be doing here is we'll be putting the plant in there, the tree, and then I'll be putting some peat around it, and it'll be good to go. So let me get you guys back up on the stand, and I'll move this so it's a little bit closer so you guys can see exactly what I'll be doing. And then we'll be putting the plant in place. I guess I'm going to need to tilt this forward a little bit more. That should be good. Spin this around like so. Okay, whoa. Decided it was going to go up. Okay, so there's the hole. So you guys will be able to see exactly what I'm doing. So we've got our tree. So here's a grafting spot. So this is where the tree was roughly grafted at. That's always good to get really close to the surface. Some people put it above the surface. I've noticed that I just put it just a little bit below the surface with the way things, with the way the ground levels off here and erodes a little bit. I like to put it there. Let me grab the peat. Make sure there's plenty of nice peat around those little tiny roots there. Okay, then we're going to bring in the soil. Looks like I don't need to hold it anymore. So you can see right here where this knob is, where my thumb is, this is where the, that is where the graft is at. So most of the time when you buy fruit trees, they're not grown from seeds, they're grafted. Part of the reason you want to graft things is then you can assure that you have a good quality tree and you know exactly what the tree is going to be. So like a lot of people, if you've ever eaten a Yellow Delicious, every Yellow Delicious that you've eaten has came from an original tree that was found, that was, I think it was like 1913. It was found here in a field in West Virginia. And every Yellow Delicious is technically a graft related to that tree. It's all that same tree. So branches off of branches off of branches throughout the course of 100 and some years. It's really cool. So this Bartlett pear is a graft off of probably an ancient old Bartlett pear tree. So okay. Great. Absolutely great. Let's get this guy. It's a little off kilter a little bit, but should be good right there. Okay, give a second. I don't know why the gimbal decided it was not going to survive that change. Okay, Gimbal's back. So let's look and see what we've just done. So we just got that first tree in there, ready to go. I will probably put a protection after I water it. I'll probably put a little container around there to protect it, to make sure that we don't have anything get in there and bother it or eat it. But next we're going to I'll show you guys the next step. We're probably not going to stay up here for every tree planting, just because it is a time-consuming. It's not time-consuming, but let's get this in here nice and good. This screwed in here nice and good so it doesn't fall off. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Tomorrow, because I didn't get a chance on Sunday to go through the bees, we'll probably go through the bees tomorrow. And tomorrow is also our nightly show. The Messaverse. We are the way of the middle. Okay. So we've got the tree right there by the shovel. And then I'll show you the next step that we're going to do. So I happen to have a tape measure with me. So we'll just use this tape measure, but I also have a string tape measure as well. By the way, guys, I'll show you the string tape measure because some of you might not know how to use the string tape measure when you're just a single person. So here is the string tape measure that I'm talking about. Ribbon, string, tape, whatever you want to call it. So one of the tricks that I've learned from having to do some of the projects by myself, because maybe Lisa's working on something else or somebody else is busy, is you just get yourself a nice, these things, always make sure you have one of these on hand. They're just kind of the cheap fence posts, but they work for a variety of different types of stuff. But anyways, you just take this. I'm just off the screen. So you step it into the ground just like that, and then I want these about 10 feet apart. You guys can see, measured it out about 10 feet. Now I'll just go over there and start on the, we'll go over here and start on the next tree. Same thing, they don't have to be in a perfect row. I just want them in that 10 foot in the vicinity, because the tree, as it expands, as it makes its own pattern, its own canopy and such like that, it may choose to do something else a little different. But I want it in this vicinity. So I'm gonna walk down here. We're gonna take a little look-see to see what I think. And by the way, guys, if you want to see how much it's dropping off, so you guys can see how much it's actually, this is about shin height. So I've already dropped, because we're coming off of a mountain. This is actually where the first big drop is off here. So this is something to keep in mind. Because you have a drop off like this, you do run the risk of more water pooling in an area like this, or as water sheets down off of the mountain. This particular tree will be a little bit more vulnerable, but being that it's more tucked up to a farther drop off, this will actually make a little heat sink as well. And so this will actually be making a little microclimate right here. There'll be a little microclimate made about right here. So so we'll have to pay close attention to this tree and probably the next tree past this. They're gonna have a little bit different experience of that tree over there, which is fine. Just something to be aware of. So I see a little dip right here. So I like this dip. I think we're gonna put the tree right there in that dip. Okay, pretty happy with this spot right here. So let's get the shovel and start here. Personally, the transplant shovel is my favorite to start off with. It really is the best way to get this soil broken up and such. The other good thing about getting into the soil like this and seeing with here is you get a good idea of what kind of soil that you're gonna have. So I got a lot of clay. There's a lot of clay in this soil. Got some sandstone rocks down here in the soil as well. Let's go get the other shovel. Still cutting off my head. So you're just gonna have to deal with my head being cut off for a minute. Actually, I want to show you guys more of what's going on in the hole. Okay, It's a little bit, that's more of an interesting shot than seeing me in the distance. Plus, I don't have to yell as loud because you're a lot closer to the camera. So one of the other things that I've noticed that happened during the crazy event is I've had a lot of my atheist friends decide that they're going to look into some type of spiritual thing. So some of them are going back to Christianity. Some of them have looked at some other stuff. So some of you know that I consider myself, well, I don't actually give myself a label, but people like my label, people like labels to know kind of where I fall. So I'm more of an American Buddhist, so very similar to like a mindset of like Alan Watts and things of that sort. I've studied many faiths in my years. I'm actually also an ordained minister, so I actually had started my own church, and I can facilitate marriages and other spiritual activities. So watch me dig a hole in the ground. You know, one of the things I really do, I actually really enjoy digging holes. I really enjoy digging. I really enjoy using a shovel. It's one of the things to some people, ditch digging and other things seem like it's work. This is actually, there's something comforting about this. There's something that's like a meditation, just digging in there and seeing, and clearly seeing like your progress that's being made by just getting in there and digging holes. It's really cool. Now sometimes I don't enjoy doing it multiple times, like I don't enjoy doing it for hours and hours on end. But you know, a couple hours of getting in here, digging some holes, just getting a lot of control over the soil, kind of working it with your hands, working it with the shovel. I don't know if I'd enjoy it as much if I had a big piece of heavy equipment. I think I enjoy it the most just because I think I really just enjoy it the most because it's that shovel. It's just it's a very basic tool to get in there and work it. So let me go grab another tree so you guys can see again exactly how I'm doing this. So this white stuff that you see, this is just shredded paper. It's usually what goes with the trees when they're shipping it. It's instead of wasting it and having to put it in my compost or anything like that, I'm just going to toss it into the ground there. I'm going to go grab the peat moss again because I forgot it. So right here, this is the graft mark. So you guys can see kind of how this is thicker than this, and you can see that it's been grafted onto there. That's the graft mark. So we want that again. I put the graft mark just barely under the soil. Mostly because of erosion, it'll ultimately come to the surface. Get some nice peat down there around the really simple small roots, the feeder roots. So they've got plenty of room to grow and expand and do their thing. And then we'll just get the rest of the soil, put it up on top. Also, you might be noticing I've been doing a lot of stuff, so you might be noticing I'm doing a lot of stuff on my hands and knees. There you go, Mock and Mark. There you go. There's already a worm waiting for this soil, ready to go. You might be noticing that I'm doing this on my hands and knees. And you might be wondering, why, Doc? So one of the things that we do as we get older is we don't spend enough time in elevation changes. We kind of just sitting, we're just laying down, we're just standing. And we forget that our body is meant to go in lots of different motions, crouching over, things of that sort. Mock, who is a mechanic, he knows exactly what I'm talking about, where you're going to be in weird angles, you're always going to be doing things. There's a reason why yoga is actually, part of the reason why yoga is really good for us as our bodies is it gets us into different positions. So you'll hear me a lot of times call things chicken yoga. So yes, Mark, I'm on hands and knees around wood. But yeah, there's chicken yoga. You'll hear me call chicken yoga, or this would be gardening yoga. Or there's just other types of things. And the reason is it's just good. It's good to get your, it changes the way your blood pressure is in your body. It changes the way your lungs breathe. It changes the way, your body just feels. It reminds your body that there's things that it needs to do. So that's why I think it's good. Like, and like Mock said there, as a landscaper, when you're spreading out mulch, I agree with him completely. It is the absolute easiest to do mulch. To do mulch on your hands and knees, and to get that in place, and just think about it. I'm gonna talk to most of you that are watching this right now. Think about the last time that you were actually like being active on your knees. So, it might have been something, you might have been doing something fun or kinky or crazy, or you might not actually be able to remember the last time you were, on your hands and knees actually doing something. And so, it actually gives, it's a lot less pressure. A lot less pressure on your ankles. Especially like the way I sit on my knees where my knees are touching, and then I have the balls of my feet, and then I'm on the balls, I'm on the balls of my toes, kind of like on my tippy toes, but kind of bent backwards. That way I got a nice rocking scenario, and I've got I've like a tripod. That's what I'm technically making, knees and feet together in the back. And that's actually a yoga pose. You actually feel like you have a lot of upper body strength. You have a lot of core strength in this position as well. And just thinking about it, we were talking about it yesterday with Mark, is that I actually have a computer chair that puts me sitting in this position as well. And, there's a lot of times that we as humans, we've just focused so much on being straight up or parallel or in this like bent sitting position. And it's just not really good for us. It's interesting. It's kind of how society has kind of trained us to be, but it's not how we ancestrally would. Now, while I'm not an evolutionist, I do believe in microevolution, and I do believe that as humans we have found different ways to manipulate our bodies in ways, and we've also forgotten ways to use our bodies and to manipulate our bodies. So, as a dancer, as someone who liked dancing and spent a long time dancing, I really enjoy the mastery of being able to use my body, being able to have it do what I want it to do, or at least kind of do what I want it to do. Because every once in a while, your body just, you lose a little bit of control over it. But if you've just spent too much time horizontal or vertical, or in that weird sitting position, you actually don't realize, that your shoulders can roll, and that you can do weird wave motions, and that this kind of movement is really good for blood flow. Is that getting your hips to kind of go into a circular rock type thing. It's one of the things, it's going to sound silly, but if any of you guys play Fortnite or you have kids that play Fortnite, one of my favorite things about the Fortnite dances like they were coming out, is you were getting a bunch of kids getting out there and trying to move their bodies in those paths of like the Fortnite dances. And that was a really good way to get kids in there moving around and that kind of stuff, where, you know, even with all the currentness and with VR and how VR kind of started becoming more popular with the Great Snow Day, is more people were moving their bodies in VR and playing those VR games and such like that. Now, some of you might not like VR. I'm someone, I like to bridge that gap between nature and technology. I think it's important that we understand and utilize both tools. We utilize the tool of nature and we utilize the tool of technology as ways to better who we are as humans and as people. So, well, I've got like 8 more of these trees to get into the ground. I mostly just wanted to get out there, have a little conversation with you guys, kind of explain that things are going to start changing in the future here on my channel. I'm going to apologize for all of you guys. I've been gone. I haven't really been streaming a whole lot. So you guys knew that. You guys knew in March I lost some friends to. I lost my aunt, and I lost a neighbor. And I lost a few other friends to COVID, and to suicide, and to old age. I also in April lost 2 friends to the vaccine, and then lost another friend to suicide. And so 2021 has started off as a really tough year. It's challenged me. It's challenged me in ways that previous years has not. So 2020, while I actually lost a couple friends to COVID in 2020, this like small smash up so early in 2021 has really like challenged my mind in lots of ways. I've been fighting melancholy, so I don't have depression. So I think this is important. I don't use the word depression. I don't like it. I understand that other people have it, but I go through melancholy. Melancholy is just phases that I just don't feel myself. I don't feel on top of my game. I just don't feel like properly sharing. And so we had that all in place. And I just, my diet was poor. I was doing some diet experiments. My diet was poor. I was going through all of the, dealing with the loss of friends. You guys know that I lost my dog in April. And so there's just a lot of life-changing things was happening so far the first half of the year. So I thought a lot about it in May, and just spent a lot of time trying to figure out what was going to do in May. And so in June, since this is, like I mentioned earlier, this is the beginning of my year. It's the beginning of season 1 here on the farm. And season 1, as it's chapter 16, season 1 is probably the better way. It's probably the better way to do it. This is chapter 16, and this is season 1 of chapter 16. So here we are on day 1 of season 1, chapter 16, and I've just made some decisions. Like we're going to talk more about some of my dietary changes. So I don't know if you guys saw earlier today, but I've been doing more protein shakes. I found some really high vitamin juice, mix I'm going to be upping my N&M. I'm going to be cutting out anything that is extremely highly processed again, or at least completely reducing all the stuff that's completely processed. I'm going to also focus on staying away from the personal dramas. So we all are caught up in lots of dramas throughout our course of our lives. Sometimes we can't get away from it. Sometimes we can. Some of that personal drama is because the TV tells you so. And the TV just really does a great job of controlling your mind. And just reminding myself of the priorities of why I chose to move here 16 years ago. Why I chose to share my life with you guys, and why fellowship and community is going to be important, and how to work on some of the little tricks instead of just talking about it, working on some of the little tricks and such. So we all got some interesting things. And like Mock said, sometimes some of us lost friends. Some of us lost friends in ways that we weren't, maybe they didn't pass. They just changed, or they just weren't the kind of people that we thought they were. So, but lots of great opportunities starting day 1, season 1, chapter 16. So, look forward to. I'm gonna re-bring back my podcasts. So I used to do a podcast called Morning Mountain Chat. If I can get all that set up properly, it'll also be available on all your favorite podcast things like Spotify, or not Spotify, maybe Spotify. I don't know if I ever got it on there, but all the different podcast things, like iTunes and all that kind of stuff. I'll also be doing this show again. We'll be doing some more shows just like this, which this is the, what do I call this one? What do I call this? Feeding the Pharmacy. So this is the Feeding the Pharmacy show. This is episode 1. We're going to be talking more about just that combination between philosophy, life advice, and farming, and just getting your hands dirty. So look forward to shows like this. Of course, my the Mesoverse every Wednesday night. Of course, that show's going to stay. And then I'm going to try to get some more educational stuff in here. I've really been slacking at the educational stuff. I'm ordering some mushrooms, so we're going to talk a little bit about mushrooms and such. Before I go, I want to show you guys the mushrooms. I think I've showed you the shiitake logs many times before, but I wanted to show you how excited I am. I actually noticed it today as I was walking up here. So as I'm going to walk back to the house so I can get everything else set up. But as we walk back to the house, I want to show you. So I seeded these shiitake mushrooms 2 years ago. And I've got a couple yields off of them, but I'm just very excited about this one. This was enough to, I'll just show you how important this was. These mushrooms, how important these mushrooms are to me right now, is that I found these mushrooms important this morning. And they said, Doc, it's time to make a larger scale shiitake mushroom thing. So I'm going to go cut a bunch of that wood that we lost over the winter. And I'm going to start making some shiitake. I'm going to start seeding some shiitake mushrooms. I will do a class on how to do that. But if you look, see this right here? That is a shiitake mushroom getting ready to start out of this log. So there's another one right there. So see those? Those are coming out of the spots that I seeded shiitake mushrooms. So we've got 2 shiitake mushrooms on that log. Pretty exciting. And then we got another one going right there. So see another really cool shiitake mushroom coming off right there. So very excited about those shiitake mushrooms starting to come off of the log. So I didn't really look to see if any of these other logs have any, but we got a bunch of other shiitakes, a bunch of other things that we're going to start. I really want to get in here and get some more, logs. So you guys can see like kind of the holes for the shiitake mushrooms. I've drilled holes and such. We're going to go through all those classes. I'm going to teach you guys all about how to do that. There's a little shiitake mushroom, might be a little one coming up right there. So we're going to talk more about that in the spring. I'm going to order them. We're going to do shiitake mushroom. We'll probably do an oyster mushroom as well. By the way, guys, I don't think any of you have ever seen my poppies. But I don't have many left. But I used to have some cool poppies here on the farm. So these are just a cool orange poppy. So it's one of the fun things to grow here on the farm. So but yeah, tomorrow, so we'll walk the other way. So I think tomorrow we will, if the weather is suitable, we'll get into the bees. And of course, we're going to keep the Bee Aware class in because I want to make sure that you guys stay up to date. For those that want to do the bees, for those that are interested in the bees. Whoa. For those that are interested in the bees and all that kind of stuff, I want to make sure that you guys know how to raise bees and realize how spectacular it is really to raise bees. Well, guys, I think I am done for the evening. I'm going to go back and plant some more trees. I'm going to get something to drink. And I will see you guys later. If you guys want to join the Discord, !Discord. And you want to watch the rest of the farm, Mavis Farmacy is the best way to do that. As you can usually, can't see me right now. I don't have a camera pointed out this direction, but you usually can see everything that's going on. So I might jump on Discord, pop it in my ear, and hang out with some of you guys on Discord later. So make sure you check that out. Anyways, friends, it's Doc, your gentleman farmer. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the day, and hopefully tomorrow we will get to the bees. Adios.